Coming to you live from our Auckland Park studios, this is Prime News on SABC 3. Here are the top stories this evening.
This is about broadening up the space to attract international investment.
Starlink could soon compete and operate in South Africa if Minister of Communications and Digital Technologies finds his way around BEE policies in the ICT sector.
Sexual offences, including rape and contact sexual crimes, along with commercial crimes, have shown increases.
The quarterly statistics reveal both encouraging declines in key crime categories and an increase in others. Rescue operations are still underway at Sibanye Gold Mine, where workers are trapped underground at the Kloof 7 shaft. Good evening and a warm welcome to Prime News on 3. I am your host, Beki Mutumomolete, here to guide you through the most important news and updates this evening. Let's take a look at our top stories. The Minister of Communications and Digital Technology, Soli Malatsi, has proposed changes to the BEE policies in the ICT sector that could pave the way for investment by the US satellite internet provider, Starlink, in South Africa. The Government Gazette published by the Minister proposes amendments that relate to the 30% equity requirement that must be sold to Black South Africans in all new investments in the ICT sector.
About broadening up the space to attract international investments in this space and to ensure that new market entrants, including those that may be offering new or disruptive technologies, will be able to make commitments that are aligned with South Africa's socio-economic development goals, and that all the players will be able to contribute meaningfully to equity, to skills development, and to economic inclusion.
Meanwhile, some political parties have since reacted to the proposal.
Concern is a clear national security threat posed by Starlink, as its owner has secured a manipulation of the laws of a country through the use of disinformation and by exerting his power and influence over the president of the US. To surrender our telecommunication capabilities and allow him access and control in a country he is accused of a genocide is a threat to our nation.
Moved by Minister Malatsi on the proposed amendments to the country's ICT legislation. The historic lack of political will and failure to amend legislation has delayed our development. This has hindered access to the economy for many South Africans.
Police Minister Senzo Mchunu has strongly denounced claims of a white genocide in South Africa. This follows US President Donald Trump's unfounded claims about the persecution of South Africa's white Afrikaner minority.
Were reported in the fourth quarter of the 2024-2025 financial year. These incidents do not support the narrative of a targeted racial genocide. Mchunu says there is no truth to the claims and warned against misinformation that could fuel division and undermine the country's democracy.
The two farm owners that were murdered during the fourth quarter were African and not white. Further to that, the two farm employees and one farm manager were also African. It is the one farm dweller that was white. I do also want to mention that the recent farm murder, which occurred in Rosenekal in Limpopo, occurred in the first quarter of the current financial year and will thus be reflected in the release of the next crime statistics.
While there's been an overall decrease in crime nationally, South Africa has seen an increase in sexual offences, including rape and contact sexual crimes, as well as commercial crime from January to March this year.
In respect of sexual offences, Rape increased. Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal contribute 19.1% and 19.9% respectively to the national total.
Other concerns that were raised include the amount of illegal guns and weapons on the streets, with over 16,000 firearms destroyed by SABC in February this year. The crime stats for the entire year will be released in September. Lopang Alamu, SABC News, Tshwane.
Sibanye's mine workers who were trapped underground at the mine's Kloof 7 shaft from Thursday have resurfaced. This follows an equipment failure which caused debris to damage the main shaft, cutting off the exit route.
Sibanye Stillwater says it's actively implementing its safety and shaft examination procedures to allow its miners to return to the surface. While rescue efforts continued for hours in the mine shaft, Mineral Resources Minister Gwede Mantashe said there were no reports of injuries or fatalities.
Up to this morning, there was no report of any injuries except the damage to the cage. And there is no fatality reported. And we're hoping that Sibanye Stillwater will work carefully and diligently and rescue those workers.
NUM Health and Safety Chairperson Duncan Luvuno says Sibanye management is not being transparent about the incident.
This incident happened yesterday around 9 o'clock, but it is unfortunate, as always, Sibanye, they tried to cover it. That is why we were in the know around 2 o'clock as the organized labor. So it indicates that there is no transparency, and the arrogance, it also continues. Because if you know and remember very well, it is synonym, arrogance is synonym with the management of here. Even the CEO itself is arrogant.
Management of Sibanye Stillwater's Kloof gold mine in Western area in Western Johannesburg says work to restore operation at the shaft continues. Nothando Makutulela, SABC News, Johannesburg.
Welcome back. Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana says the 2025-2026 budget he tabled in Parliament on Wednesday required small additional adjustments. He says this is due to the reversal of the 0.5 percentage point VAT increase, as well as the revision of growth outlook.
The 2025-2026 national budget continues to be a contentious matter. Some of the political parties have come out strongly opposing the proposed fuel levy increases. However, the Minister of Finance says the budget must not be viewed only on the increases in fuel levy.
Some of the measures, yes, they are quite problematic. Fuel levy is just one example. But we want to persuade members that we shouldn't judge this budget.
The minister says the reversal of the 0.5 percentage point VAT hike, as well as the revision of growth outlook, has resulted in substantial reduction in anticipated revenue.
It's required that we do additional small adjustment on the revenue side. But primarily, we had to moderate our ambitions. I must make the point, moderate our ambitions, because our ambitions, what we're talking about, has been to increase rather than to cut budgets. On the 12th, we're increasing the budget by 232 billion, and we're still increasing the budget by 180.1 billion. So we moderated our ambitions, but we're still increasing.
Parliament will soon conduct public hearings on the fiscal framework and revenue proposals. Lula Mamatya, SABC News, Parliament.
The rand has been trading below the 18 rand mark this week due to the dollar losing steam. This as markets try to digest the meeting between the US President Donald Trump and South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, which took place on Wednesday this week.
The rand has been performing quite well recently, but I think the main reason for that is that the rand, even at these better levels, are still hugely undervalued. So if nothing happens, the tendency for the currency is to strengthen gradually over time. But the strength of the currency that we've witnessed recently is also not necessarily rand strength, but more a case of the US dollar that is losing some steam. I think certainly that this will create an opportunity for the Reserve Bank as well to start cutting interest rates. So I expect a reduction in interest rates next month.
The new South African National Petroleum Company will operate in an increasingly volatile, unpredictable and polarized world. It also faces an environment where there is a shift in demand towards cleaner sources of energy.
Government says the new state-owned company is designed to enable the state to participate meaningfully in oil and gas developments by optimizing the operating assets and financial resources of these merged entities. Minerals and Petroleum Resources Minister Gwede Mantashe highlighted the concerning trend of increased fuel imports relative to local market production, saying the measure will bolster national energy security, foster economic growth and stabilize state-owned entities.
Our view is that petrols can be turned around once those refineries are working. It has all the opportunities, it has all the depots around it, and it can do well. We must just revive those refineries.
Senpec says it already has 388 employees absorbed from the three merged entities. The company boasts that it's not starting from scratch, as it already has assets from the three companies. Its CEO, Mojalefa Moari, says the immediate challenge is to make sure the company is financially stable so that it's able to look after the country's energy needs.
When we look at the group, one of the big challenges that we're facing was the fact that the group is in financial trouble. We needed to make sure that we get it out of that situation, make sure that it's financially sustainable, and it can actually continue beyond where it is.
Mantashe says Petro SA will retain its legacy board and executive team with a mandate to turn around aspects of the company that are not doing well on the refining side before being transferred to Senpec. Gloria Sefakomusi, SABC News, Johannesburg.
Thank you for staying with us. The repair and maintenance program at the Department of Defence's One Military Hospital has been described as a monument of mismanagement. Parliament's Joint Standing Committee on Defence requested an update from both the DoD as well as the Directorate of Priority Crime Investigation, the Hawks, on the upgraded project at One Military Hospital, which started in 2005.
One Military Hospital is owned and operated by the SANDF and is responsible for the healthcare of all SANDF personnel, including veterans as well as government officials. However, the poor state of this hospital has come to the attention of MPs who are fuming that after 25 years, with more than 1 billion rand spent on repairs and maintenance at the hospital, it remains in a state of disrepair, with MPs saying parts of the facility are not usable.
We just need to be indicating that we do not park the cases. We try our utmost best.
The repair and maintenance program was introduced by the Department of Public Works in 2005. In 2023, the Department of Defence took over the day-to-day maintenance. One report has so far revealed that the 1 billion rand loss to alleged corruption and irregular expenditure is as a result of the Department of Public Works together with the Department of Defence.
Bill 1, it continues to be a very important institution, as members have said, for our defence force, but also for even our veterans. There's complete commitment. The timelines, Chair, are going to be determined by whether we get the money.
Whilst we heard from the DPCI that there are investigations underway, we have not had conclusion on two crucial issues. One is, when are they going to be ready to hand over the investigations to the NPA for prosecutions.
Abra Bobia, SABC News, Parliament.
Thabo Mbeki and the Julius Nyerere Foundation will jointly host the Thabo Mbeki Africa Day annual lecture in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. Ahead of Africa Day on Sunday, the former South African president visited Mazimbu in Morogoro, where the ANC had military bases during the struggle years.
African President Thabo Mbeki, he is catching a train to Morogoro. In Morogoro, it was a moment to reflect on the role played by those who joined the struggle for the freedom. Many ANC members received military training here in Morogoro. Business from Tanzania and South Africa say they are looking forward for the G20 being hosted on African soil.
This is not merely symbolic. It is an unprecedented opportunity for Africa to assert its voice, champion its priorities, and shape the direction of global economic governance.
He warned against being shortchanged by the West.
I remember that when the Security Council met to discuss the resolution on Libya, the whole 3 African members of the Security Council at that time, they voted for that resolution. It was South Africa, Nigeria, and I think Gabon, to destroy Libya. But I'm saying that these 2 resolutions, these 2 developments in 2010 and 2011, the collapse of the G8 and therefore that mutual accountability between us and the developed world and the destruction of the State of Libya, contrary to the views of the African Union, were born of the same thing, our weakness.
Sophie Mkwena, SABC News, Dar es Salaam, Tanzania.
It is now time for us to navigate the climate landscape. Our weather team has the details coming up next.
Thank you very much and a very warm welcome to the weather desk. It was a fine day in most areas of South Africa today over the central interior, but very cold temperatures as a result of the cold front that we saw making landfall in the western parts of the country earlier on in the week. And for the remainder of the night, we can expect clear weather conditions and temperatures will be very cold in some of these areas. It is very windy though in the Northern Cape, but light winds can be expected in most areas of South Africa for tonight, with just some partly cloudy skies expected overnight in the far low veld region of Limpopo. And some fog patches in the morning for KwaZulu-Natal, Mpumalanga into Limpopo, and this may reduce visibilities on the roads in the early hours of the morning. And these conditions are also expected over the south coast of the Western Cape. But these conditions will be improving rapidly after sunrise. And for tonight, a level 2 warning of damaging winds over Namakwaland in the Northern Cape. But for tomorrow, there's no warning anywhere in the country. And temperatures are very cold overnight in the central interior. Under clear weather conditions, we can expect below freezing temperatures over Sutherland at a minimum of -2, just above freezing conditions over Kimberley and Bloemfontein at a minimum of 2 degrees, a minimum of 3 in Johannesburg, and just 1 over Bethlehem in the Eastern Free State. Mnambiti is cold as well at a minimum of 3 degrees. And tomorrow, we're expecting another clear day in most areas of the country with just some partly cloudy skies in the morning over the low veld. Temperatures are pleasant in the northern interior of KwaZulu-Natal and the low veld of Limpopo. Otherwise, mild conditions for Johannesburg at 17. Pleasant temperatures though going towards the central Karoo of the Western Cape and over the city of Cape Town at an average of 27 degrees for tomorrow afternoon. And that is all from the weather desk.
That's all for tonight's broadcast. Thank you for tuning in. We wish you a fantastic weekend ahead. Until then, from myself and the Prime News team, stay ahead. Good night.